Hello, everyone. My name is Dave Viaga, and this is Zoom In. The question is, how are you? Seriously, not a greeting, but how are you? How are you doing? We are doing fine, or rather, we are holding up. Today, we are going to talk to people from different parts of the world, and we are going to know how they're faring on, how they are doing, how they are holding up, how they conduct themselves, and basically how is life over there. Now, I'm going to introduce to you our Zoomers. We have Justice and Debbie from Kiambu County. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Close to Kiambu County, we have, I'm not very sure whether it's in Nairobi County or Kajiado, but it claims it's in Nairobi County. Evangelist, moderator, Jackson Sire. Hi, how are you, my brother?
I'm doing well. I'm doing quite well. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. Then now we have Dingani. I keep getting it right. This time I got it wrong. Dingani Mfune from Malawi, Lilongwe. Please say hi.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. And they say further afield, we have Lisa from California in the US. Hi, Lisa.
Hi, everyone.
Hi. Now, welcome, guys, to Zoom In. We want to talk about a few things. We want to talk about the effects and basically how you guys are doing. And then maybe later on we'll talk about the effects of Corona. We are talking about, there are new terms that are coming in. Probably they're not very new, but they are terms that we rarely use. We have, in Kenya, we have curfew. We have, most of us talk about it, quarantine, isolation. Now let's talk about this. How are you guys doing? Let me start from Lisa. How are you guys doing in California?
Thanks for asking. So right now we have a stay-at-home order that has been in effect for the past 3 weeks, which means that only essential workers can go to work. The rest of the population is at home. All schools have closed down, all places of worship have closed down, and most local businesses are either doing a delivery or working from home, but also many businesses have closed down. And I wanted to share that as of today, 22 million people in this entire country have filed for unemployment or have lost their jobs. So it's really at the climax over here.
Sorry about that. Jackson Sire, same script?
Same script except for the 22 million part. In Kenya, I think all 40 million of us are becoming jobless. So, yes, so I'm in Nairobi, metropolitan area, and we have a curfew that runs from 7 in the evening through to 5 in the morning. And specifically for Nairobi and I think 2 other counties, you can't move out of the county and no one can come in. So basically Nairobi is one big gated community at this moment. And we keep waiting for updates. Someone like me, who my work is lots of training. This of course means I have to work a lot more from home and there's less jobs to do. But yeah, that's the situation in Kenya.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Mfune from Malawi. What's the situation in Malawi?
Well, right now, it's kind of calm in that we've only recorded less than 20 cases and about 3 deaths to this point. So when it comes to a lockdown, it was only announced, was that yesterday, that the lockdown will begin Saturday. The lockdown will begin from, let's just say, Sunday for 21 days. So at this point, people are still up and about. But even the lockdown itself is kind of laid back. There will be a curfew from 7 p.m. till 6 in the morning. But beyond that, you still find that certain stores are going to be open, supermarkets till 2 p.m. Churches, they've just downsized from 100 to 50. But if you're coming, then after the first shift comes in, you need to, spray the place, clean the pews, and 2 hours later, the next shift can come in. So there is still kind of a little bit of leeway for people to, move about and go to church. A total lockdown hasn't come in effect as yet.
Okay.
They say that in every rule there must be an exception. There's an exception for social distancing. Justice and Debbie, how is Kiambu County? And tell us why you guys are not observing the, is it the 1.5 meter rule?
We observe it well outside the home because Debbie here is my wife. And first of all, Kiambu County is very interesting because there are parts of Kiambu County which are considered to be part of the Nairobi metropolis. And then there are also other parts which are not considered to be part of Nairobi. Now, we find ourselves where our home is situated is in Kikuyu. And we are not really sure whether we're in Nairobi or outside Nairobi, but we just operate with
so
some
you guys are in no man's land, right?
Yes, we are in the no man's land, but in essence, the rules concerning the curfew and just making sure that you walk out with a mask still operate. I think for us, one of the greatest scares has been uncertain, when we get unknown calls or knocks at the door. You're never sure if you're being followed for contract tracing. And, so you're always scared. But I think back at home, it has been a nice situation because we've gotten lots of time to just be together.
Okay. Let me tell you briefly about Kisumu, then I get back to maybe something about our safety in terms of infection prevention and control, and maybe safety in terms of security, our homes, our houses. In Kisumu, the script is just the same. People, the order 7 to 5 stay-at-home order still remains. If you've been to the streets in Kisumu, people are pretty much aware that there is this coronavirus thing, but they are not. People go about their businesses, except a few that are a little, I can say, more cautious. They really stay at home. If they really have to go out, they have to wear masks. And I read yesterday in the dailies that anyone who would be caught in the public without a mask will be arrested. So that is something that I believe is working. The only bit about the mask is that Saya will tell you that we have different types of masks. I have seen wonderful masks, so to speak. I don't want to say weird masks. Now let's talk about infection prevention and control. Lisa, how is it coming up, the infection control and prevention? In Kenya, we are told to wash our hands, we are told to sanitize, we are told to, of course, masks are part of infection prevention and control.
Absolutely. And I think those guidelines are in effect throughout the world. I think different countries with their enforcement of it approach it differently. There was a law that was passed this week in the nearby county where I live, where if you're found without a mask, you'll get a ticket. So you'll have to pay a fine for not wearing a mask. And it has to be that aggressive for people to abide by those laws. But in terms of prevention, I think that we're behind. As you know, that we are now almost leading in the number of cases of infection. And so it's really trying to manage the crisis and retroactively instead of being proactive. So but we're trying to do as much as I said, social distancing is in effect, wearing masks, wearing gloves, protective measures as much as possible.
Okay. Saya,
Yo.
how do you practice safety?
For starters, I'm currently living alone. My wife is not in the country, so for starters, I I'm by myself, so social distancing is a real thing, totally real. And then just stepping up. The beauty is, in the case of my family, some of these measures had always been there. Like when you come back home, standing order is you wash your hands. Soap does better than the sanitizers, and you do like a thorough wash. I have a mask that the few times I need to walk out, I go, and to just reduce my movement around is what we've done is bought food, and so that it minimizes my need to go out. But hand in hand with keeping with the preventing, it's also just making sure my body is at the peak ability to fight disease. So I do work out every day, like some really crazy workout. And fortunately for me, where I stay, there's a field, a very nice green field with trees and grass. So I make sure that I spend no less than 30 minutes walking there every day of the week. So adhering to the normal things, wearing a mask when out, washing my hands. And when I get a few days when I needed to come with bags, just sanitize also the bags, wipe them with disinfectant before they can come in. And yeah, just doing making sure more of citrus things, keeping my exercise, my water intake is great. And then spending some time in the sunshine, at least being in a tropical area, we are not starved of that. And really just doing what we call new start, spending some time in rest, doing sleep, and doing quite an amount of God's work in the moment, which is increasing my trust in God, just trying to follow the full new start thing.
Okay. The only thing you need to start practicing to avoid is touching your face, but you are doing that. The other thing is that you are really working out. You want to, you're not getting great, or you want to disappear from the earth. Fude, how are you? How are you doing?
Well, out here we're kind of following all these preventative measures where you're washing your hands. Almost every single shop have water, soap, or chlorinated water, and then we move around with sanitizer in the car, in your pocket. I prefer to carry my own sanitizer because you go to this shop and that shop and that shop and you keep washing there, the hands are going to peel off eventually. So I just want to work with what I know and what I have. But other than that is reducing movement totally. Even though, like I said, we don't have a lockdown at the moment, but I've been trying to encourage, friends, family, church members to just stay indoors. This is not the time to just go next door just to say hi. I think those days, let's put them aside. That African thing that we have where we want to be neighborly. But at this point, it's time to stay indoors. And one thing that I've enjoyed about this, I've got a little girl, almost 2 years, and she loves washing her hands. She loves sanitizer. She'll just come to me, Daddy, start rubbing her hands together, and I know she wants some sanitizer. Like every 2 minutes, Daddy. So she now understands that, okay, we gotta wash our hands, we gotta go with the whole sanitizer thing. Doorknobs and frequent places that we're always touching, remote controls, for the TV, for whatever, always making sure that those frequently touched items are nicely cleaned very frequently. So those are some of the things that we're doing out here.
Okay. I'm glad you have a reminder in the name of your little one. Debbie and Justice, there's a friend of mine who told me that he's used to washing his hands when there's food on the table. How is it over there? Debbie.
Okay, thank you. We're also really trying. Okay, we are following the measures, trying to maintain cleanliness as much as possible, having clean surfaces, washing our hands with soap. Yeah. Also, not going out unnecessarily. We only go out if we have to. Actually, I think the only times we've gone out was when we went to buy a lot of food stuff, because we've not bought food stuff for quite a while now. And then also we were needed to go to church, to go minister, to go help in choristering. So those were the few times we went out. So yeah, and also exercise. Exercise, because we realized we are eating, we are not getting out of the house, and so we've really been very deliberate on exercise every morning to also try and have an active day from the word go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, guys, thank you so much for that input. I want us now to talk about now that we are not able to go to church, and what do you do? What do you do when you're not able to go to church? You don't even have reminders. Every day, Friday evening, we know that it's Vespers, we are preparing for Sabbath. So now that is not happening, what is it that you guys are doing? Let me just continue with Justice and Debbie, and then we come back to the others.
Well, for us, it dawned on us that actually the first week was a little bit disorienting to some extent, because we were like, okay, this is sort of a new way of life. And we had now to actually now sit down and rearrange our time. So literally we have a timetable which is written so that we know this is the time to wake up, and this is the time to do this and this and this and this and this and all that. So in essence, we had to sit down and realize that in as much as it appears like things are going south in some extent in terms of what we are used to, we sat down and we purposed that we are going now to operate like a school. So, and I can see Saya is asking who is the prefect in this case. Well, I am the prefect.
Are you the de facto prefect, or you are the prefect?
No, I am the principal of the school. So in as much as they shut down all the schools, we still have a school here. And we've actually, the timetable really helped us to balance so that we are catering for all the facets of our life, just to develop physically. That's why we have time for exercise. Mentally, we take time to read and work. I work from home, and also spiritually. So we have lots of time for worship and also fellowship with other people. So I think that was taking charge of our time by actually setting down strict timeline has been helpful. And then we hold one another accountable.
Saya, I believe you are the prefect, you are the principal, you are the preacher. How do you do it? How do you do it?
I'm the school owner, principal, prefect, head cook, head boy, all those things. So to be honest, God has been very kind to me. I think in this lockdown period, I probably have been just as busy, if not busier, spiritually speaking, than before. So quite a number of churches and Bible study groups have been leveraging digital media to be able to continue. And so I have, in terms of the fellowship component of it, been privileged to either be part of or be asked to share in different places. So as we speak, like this week, I'm doing a revival week in the evenings, and on Sabbath I am preaching in different places. Or you'll find yesterday I was doing a lesson study with. There's a church that has a lesson study weekly. So that has been helpful to me. I belong to a Bible study group we started more than 10 years ago. So every Monday in the evenings for like 2 or 3 hours, we always have Bible study online. So the fellowship components for me, I'll be genuine, have continued, if not increased the more at this particular time. But now like Jazo has said, what this period has added now is just more time. As you can see behind me is my favorite spot, my shelf. So it's given me more time to read, more time to prepare, more time to just reflect and be intuitive. So I do recognize not everyone is maybe as privileged as I am to be asked to speak every place, but that's just been my reality in this time, which has been helpful.
Okay, some positive vibes over there. Mfune, how is it been? How are you guys coping up? Does your little one remind you that it's already Sabbath, just like she reminds you that it's time to wash your hands?
Time to wash hands. No, she knows prayer time is prayer time. She'll come, sit on the floor, and pat me over to sit next to her, pat on the other side for mom to sit on the other end and say, prayer, or whatever prayer is in her language. But it has been kind of like a new learning curve because we're kind of used to doing things in a certain way. And now that some of that has been taken away from you, I remember someone was saying, "Oh, fine, the church is on holiday," and I'm thinking, "We ain't on no holiday. That's not what this is." You know, if anything, this is time for you to grow personally. And I think for me and many others who ministered a lot, it's good because it gives you a time to be with self. You get to read, reflect, to be with family. But then it's also allowed us to think outside the box, to broaden our way of ministry. On my end, it's been a little bit difficult because I'm trying to work with my churches to try and help them gain ways of what they can do if a total lockdown is to come in. The fact that some of our churches are small in number, we can do the 50 people per shift, that's okay. But for others, we still feel it is better to walk away from even the 50 and just be at home. Now, how do you go through it? This is because this is different. You're used to having somebody stand there and preach to you. Now, father of the house, you need to do it. Your firstborn who's 8, 9, 10, they can have a part, this and that. So trying to train here and there where possible has also been, it's been quite something. But then, you get online, you have a WhatsApp forum here, WhatsApp forum there, where you're able to speak to the youth, speak to other church members. So the beauty about the life we're living now is that many churches do have these online forums, and we're able to communicate to them in that way. But other than that, it's really been quite interesting the first couple of weeks. Like, wait, so this is how Sabbath will be for a while. Let's do this.
Okay. Something I've noticed that there are things that we still need to learn. There are things that we still need to learn. I've just seen my friend again touching his head. Brother, you still have a long way to go. Lisa, how is it?
It's really been, I think I have never been more involved in ministry than now, than ever before. I think that the Lord has forced us to be creative. The Lord has put us in position that we've never been. Let me give an example. I've always been on social media. I think most of us are on social media for some extent. And, the Lord is saying that let's use these existing channels, so whether it's our WhatsApp group, we have our WhatsApp Bible study on Wednesdays. We have another WhatsApp Bible study on Friday, and it's a virtual Bible study. And even creating content. This is a time where everyone is at home, everyone is attentive. There's no better time to reach people than now. And the Lord has just been able to give me so many ideas of different topics and issues and of things to go online and just invite people to be a part of. We are so lucky because we have all this technology that's free for the most part, like Zoom, Facebook Live, Instagram, TV, all of that, just utilizing all of these channels. And in terms of church continues. Church is not a building. Church is not a physical structure. It's me, it's you, it's what we're doing right now. And so for us in our church specifically, we have these Zoom meetings, we have virtual meetings for our Bible study, but we're also pre-recording and filming it so that on Sabbath morning, everyone receives a link for YouTube. They can watch the Sabbath school lesson, which I teach. They have a music program that I'm involved in, and then finally the sermon. most importantly, and I agree with all my colleagues, we're doing all these things, is giving. And that's one area that we have felt as a church we need to do. So we are continuing to encourage our members to give regular tithes and offerings, because those funds are going directly into helping our communities. We have many communities that, as I said earlier, are facing unemployment, are facing poverty and starvation. So we have been trying to encourage our members, finding different ways to give, whether it's giving online. There's the Adventist Giving app that people can give directly from their bank accounts. We have also talked about picking up tithes and offerings from people's homes, collecting it by the church clerk. We need to have the resources enabling us to do the work of Jesus Christ in this area. And so whether it's media, whether it's content creation, whether it's creativity, whether it's giving, in all ways, I think this is the best time for us as a church to be involved in helping each other.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Lisa, for that. Guys, I just need to give you about 15 seconds each just to say a word of encouragement to people out there, because we are out of time. If 15 seconds, let's start with the couple, Justice and Baby, 15 seconds.
All right. For me, I think in as much as many things are happening in the world right now, this is a time for rejoicing. Rejoicing for three reasons. Number one, God tells us to rejoice. Rejoice in the Lord always, Philippians chapter 4, verse 4. Point number two, Jesus is coming soon. And for this reason, we should rejoice. And that is in Luke 21, verse 28. When we look at these pandemics happening, it is time to rejoice because our salvation is coming nearer. And finally,
pass the third point to your dear wife.
Yes.
Okay. To add on what Justice has said, I'll just remind us to pray.
Yes.
And the time where we can have more personal study and, personal growth. And then also engage a friend for accountability.
Thank you.
And then finally, share with others what you've learned.
Amen.
Okay. Evangelist Saya, 15 seconds, please.
Yes, I'm actually reading it so that it will take 15 seconds. God would have us recall his dealings with his people in the past. He seems to always choose the extremities of life to be the places where he seemed to show his maximum possible deliverance. Man's necessity is God's opportunity.
Thank you. Mfune.
Yeah, friends, do not be anxious about anything. Remember what Philippians says, but in everything through prayer, present yourself to God. You may not know about tomorrow, but know who holds tomorrow and allow him to hold your hand.
Amen. Lisa?
All right, I will quote Jude chapter 1, verse 24. Now to him who is able to keep us from falling and to present us blameless before him. It is God who will keep us, and he will keep us now.
Thank you. Thank you so much, guys. Stay safe. Do what the government is telling you. Above all, let's keep up the faith. Let's be hopeful, because this is the only thing we need. In times like this, we need a savior. So guys, back at home,
we just want to say thank you for staying tuned, and thank you for following the government's directive. Stay at home. If you have to go out, please wear a mask, because that is what we are told to do. We are going to stop to flatten the curve. That is basically what we need to do. Above all, let us keep up the faith. Let us remain hopeful, because in times like this, we need a savior. We love you, and God loves you more. Bye-bye.